بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق والنور أرش أفضل الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيبنا وسيدنا وسندنا وشفيعنا ومولانا أبو القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين. أما بعد، قال الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل لا أسألكم عليها أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Respected elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, I would like to greet you all with the warmest of Islamic greetings, and that is none other than Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most beneficent, the most merciful. For without His love and mercy, opportunities such as these would not be presented to us. Or we as fellow Muslims have been granted this opportunity to come together once more through the platform of Zoom in the midst of a pandemic and engage in His remembrance, engage in the remembrance of His messenger, and engage in the remembrance of the guardian of this religion, and that is none other than Imam Ali alayhi salam. As you can see, I'm trying out a new system tonight, so I have these big headphones, and I'm using my laptop instead of my cell phone. So inshallah, the quality might be a little bit better. I'm not sure about the visuals, but I'm sure these clunky headphones will deliver my voice a much, much, much better. A thumbs up if you agree. In any case, where we're going to go tonight is we're going to revisit last night's topic. And last night's topic was the hidden secret of Islam, and that is love. And what we were able to discuss last night was the concept of love in terms of how it applied to our belief system, and how someone who can claim to love the likes of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam may not realize the level of disdain they truly have within their belief system for Amir al-Mu'mineen, even though they may announce that they love him. We mentioned that certain schools of Islam would end the Quranic recitation by saying Sadaqallahul Azim, or they would elevate the the status of a certain wife of the Prophet. When the Prophet, according to their tradition, had 9 wives, they would select the one wife that would have very strong animosity towards Imam Ali alayhi salam, to the extent that she would go on to wage war against him. In addition to that, after the death of Bibi Fatima Zahra salamallahu alayha, this same woman would go to the door of Amir al-Mu'mineen at a time where people were sending condolences to Amir al-Mu'mineen. This woman would go up to say, I'm happy to see you sad on this occasion that you have lost your wife. This brings joy to my heart. And on the third occasion, this same woman would go on to stop the burial of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam from being next to the Holy Prophet, saying that that land of the Holy Prophet is hers, and she doesn't allow the likes of Imam al-Hasan, Sayyid al-Shabab Ahl al-Jannah, to go even near the Holy Prophet. Then the tribe of Bani Hashim would politely ask, would you be okay at least if we can just take the body around the grave of the Holy Prophet? And she would then say, no, I don't allow such a thing. And she would order a group of men who would be her followers, which is interesting how these factions would sprout out. And this specific wife here would have a faction of her own, and a series of people that she would narrate hadith to at this time. And she would go on to say, then rain arrows on the blessed body of Imam al-Hasan. You're telling me out of all of the wives of the Prophet, this one was the one worth mentioning? This one was the one worth learning from? And then you come tell me you love Ahlul Bayt, you love Imam al-Hasan, you love Imam al-Hussein, but you love this wife of the Prophet, whom during the Prophet's time, even the Prophet would rebuke at her because of her poor character. That in Surah Tahrim in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya Rasulullah, do not make that which I have made allowed on you forbidden. Divorce her. And this was in mention about the 2 wives of Hafsa, being the daughter of Umar ibn al-Khattab and Aisha bint Abu Bakr. And this, even the brothers of Ahlul Sunnah know that this surah was revealed for those 2 specific individuals. And the amount of bias someone can have to elevate these figures when we have the likes of Khadija al-Kubra, the first wife of the Holy Prophet, a woman whom the Prophet says, were it not for her wealth and the blade of Ali ibn Abi Talib, Islam would have ceased to exist. A woman that donated every single penny she had to the cause of the Holy Prophet, that when the Prophet came to bury her, he did not have enough money to buy her a shroud, a kafan, to bury her in. And therefore, Jibreel would descend from the heavens and say, Allah is very pleased with this woman. This is the shroud we give from the heavens for this heavenly woman, Khadija al Kubra. Khadija, who was known as Aminat al Quraysh. She was the princess of the people of Quraysh. Everybody wanted to marry her because of her beautiful character. In fact, they say she came from the lineage of the prophets as well. And then you forget about her. You dismiss her. You barely talk about her. The only thing they can say is they make up a lie saying that she was 20 years older than the Prophet. It's very interesting, brothers and sisters, and I say this very unapologetically, that they say the first wife of the Prophet was 20 years older than him. So the Prophet was 25 and Bibi Khadija sallallahu alaiha was 45. And then when the Prophet hits 50, he marries a 6-year old. It's as though in this belief system that they've created, there is no middle ground. The Prophet can't marry anyone close to his age. So he either marries 20 years older or 40 years younger. And this is why, if you notice the way I speak in the last few nights, I'm very unapologetic towards this school's belief system because I don't have anything to apologize for. I'm very saddened when I sit there and I read their theology, read their history books, and I see the outcome of their beliefs. That 2 days ago, my sister notified me, and I couldn't help but get very emotional. And if you notice, last night I was very emotional simply because she showed me this article that in Afghanistan there was a maternity ward, and a maternity ward is a place where a woman who had just given birth would go and rest and gain their strength back to leave home with the baby. This maternity ward would be attacked in Afghanistan, and this region in Kabul is one that's known for Shia people of the Shia belief, people who love Amir al-Mu'mineen. And I can't even bring myself to talk about it without getting emotional. But it was attacked, and every single woman there lost her life with their baby. And this act of cowardice, there was one specific case here where the woman had tried to get pregnant for over 7 years. This Afghani woman, and finally when she finally got pregnant and gave birth, she named her son Omid. And Omid in Farsi and Afghani means hope. So she named him Omid because she wanted her son to be a semblance of hope for all those women trying to get pregnant and have trouble and difficulty doing so. And then this woman would then be attacked by Muslims in Afghanistan because of why? Because this maternity ward consisted mostly of Shia people, and now ISIS, I hear, is trying to take credit for it. This is such a shame. This is a this is a tragedy, brothers and sisters, that these people have the same name of the messenger, they have the same name of our God, being Allah and Muhammad, and they worship, but they do not worship with the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And do not lie to me to say that these individuals acknowledge or even have this much love for the Holy Prophet. And this is an outright disobedience to the Holy Prophet, because the verse I started my lecture off with tonight was none other than قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى, where Allah says قُلْ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this Quran says قُلْ to the Holy Prophet, He's saying, say, O Prophet, with no worry, this is divine decree, this is what I want. And He says, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا, that I ask nothing from the people, that I have spent 23 years delivering this message of unity and peace and kindness and morals. I ask nothing from you in return for this privilege I've had to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by the way, every single prophet the hadith I've mentioned have said this before they pass away. They say, La as'alakum alayha ajra. That we don't want anything from the people for the good that we have done in this community. Except when it came to the time of the Holy Prophet, because this final Prophet would leave us with the eternal message being the Quran and Ahlul Bayt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came and said, say قل لا أسألكم عليكم عليها أجرا إلا, except when it came to the Holy Prophet of Islam being the final prophet, except mawaddata fil urba, have compassion towards my family. Now, the word mawadda in the Arabic language is very hard to translate into English because there isn't a specific word that would define it fully. He didn't say muhabba. So muhabba means love. You know, whenever you marry your spouse or you have a child, this muhabba means love. But mawadda is beyond love. Mawadda is compassion. It's beyond that, and it's more than compassion as well. It's to have, let's just leave it at that. It's beyond compassion. It's beyond love, whatever you can imagine. The prophet is instructing the people that I want nothing from you except that you covet, you take care of them, you listen to them, you obey them, and the closer you are to them, then that is how you know you have fulfilled my wishes. And this is why tonight's lecture topic will be revolving around the we're going to just dive a little bit deeper into this and see why is it that today, just because there is a group of Muslims that adore the Holy Prophet and his family, we are victim to death. We are victims to the evil of shaitan that we mentioned, because as you know, shaitan goes into the hearts of these Muslims and he plays with their religion and he misdefines roles in their hearts, and then he channels it. Brothers and sisters, the most incredible advice I learned when I was young, I heard it in a lecture. It was in a Farsi lecture. He said, "O youth, listen to me. The most valuable currency that any human being has is love. This human being's entirety, it's not defined by the amount of money you have. It's not defined by the amount of houses you own. It's not defined by the number of cars or fancy cars you drive. It is the place you invest your love. The most valuable thing you can ever do is invest your love in something worth investing in. For instance, if you look at different characters throughout history, they may not have been the richest people, yet they are people of mention. They are people of wisdom. They are people who a lot of times people want to learn from. And this doesn't only apply to Islam. There's people that live very modest lifestyles, such like I usually don't derive examples from this person. Gandhi, not for us, but for the Indians, was a very high and spiritual figure. In fact, some people think he was a deity, but he was a high. But if you look at his life, it was a very simple life. His diet was a very simple diet. Many of our scholars lived very simple lives. They didn't live lavish lives, right? And these people that we try to learn from, you can tell that the investment of their care and their love was for that of a higher purpose. Someone once told me, Hadi, you are the thing you want the most. So my entirety is defined by that which I want the most. If I want a fancy car, then my entire existence is defined by that car because that's all that I want. During the Prophet's time, there was a battle that they were in, and there was an individual who wasn't really, he didn't want to fight. And he had barely professed in the religion of Islam. But he saw that the enemy had this really nice white colored donkey that he really, really wanted. When he saw that they were going into battle, he was thinking, I can escape between the flanks of the battle and I can capture this donkey and run away with it because that's what I really want. And surprisingly enough, this Arab man here, he was willing to put his life on the line because he wanted this donkey so bad. Anyways, he would go on to try and get this donkey, but he never really got his hands on it. He actually ended up taking a few arrows and he died in the battle. And when the battle was over, the Muslims collected his body. They came to the Prophet. They said, these are the bodies we collected. They have all become shaheed. They have all become a witness upon us on the day of judgment. They are martyrs. And the Prophet would say, yes, that is true, except for this one. This one is not considered a martyr. And they said, why? He said, because he came to the battle to attain a donkey. And he thought nobody would notice him. But this person is not a shaheed of Allah. He is a shaheed of a donkey. So therefore he is a martyr, but not a martyr in the sense that he died for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is his life's definition. Can you imagine that, brothers and sisters? That his life's definition ultimately becomes a a vessel to attain an animal that would also be very temporary. And this highlights one interesting fact, that when we constantly try to invest in things, or we try to attain things, whether it's the latest watch, it's the latest phone, latest piece of technology, latest car, latest, coolest house at the pool and all that stuff, it's a very it's very infatuating that the human would want these things. And you'll notice that the more you get, the more you'll want afterwards. And now you're dedicating your life's purpose to money, or attaining things that you could use money to buy. And if you realize the world we live in today, brothers and sisters, is that our life's worth is constantly depreciating, because what we're doing is we're investing in things that become outdated very quickly. For example, this phone, I just bought, this is the OnePlus 6T. I just bought this last year, and now there's three models above it. In just a year's time, there's three models above this phone. And so I think about it and I say, well, when I first bought it, this phone was the latest and greatest. But now they've come up with three different models, with just a little bit better. Maybe the camera a little bit stronger, maybe the battery life a little bit more. But now what I purchased with my money has now been worth less. And therefore, the same thing happens when you buy a car. The minute you buy that car and you drive it off the lot, it's lost almost half of its value. The same thing would happen in anything physical that you purchase. It just constantly loses its value. And the more you channel your time to generate the money to get those things, the less your soul becomes worth it. Now, when you realize that this is it, and a lot of people have this early on, a lot of people have this in their 40s, and they realize there's got to be more to life than this. And when we come to the school of Ahlul Bayt, an interesting phenomenon happens that I've seen happen to myself. The school of Ahlul Bayt has almost like a initiation period, where when you join the school of Ahlul Bayt and you profess in the oneness of Allah, you profess in the messengerhood of the Holy Prophet, and you accept Imam Ali alayhi salam as the guardian of this religion and the inheritor of the Holy Prophet, and the more you begin to love, the more you begin to get engaged in the community, the more you get tested. And the harder things seem to start getting, as in when you didn't care as much, you noticed that you had more things to deal with. And this is what I've discovered, that this is a somewhat type of initiation that I feel that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts us through, because he wants to unveil all of the attachments we have to the dunya. He wants us to really understand that, listen, this dunya is temporary, and that which you are looking for is infinite. That which you are looking for is the akhirah. Now, if I told each and every one of you guys we are temporary beings, I would be lying, because then I would say that Allah is misleading us in the Quran, where he says that there is a happily ever after. There is an afterlife, and that you will live forever for, that you will be there for eternity. There's no age limit that, okay, after 1 million years, we're all going to die in the next life and we're going to be flung into a different universe or just cease to exist. So when Allah promises eternity, now he wants to see, how bad do you want it? And when you start to get closer, you'll notice that the tests that life brings you are going to be moral tests. And there are also going to be tests in people that many people deem religious. In fact, a lot of times when I see youth get disenchanted by becoming more religious, is because they say, well, look at all these religious people, they do bad things. Or they're I notice, I hear this one a lot. I say, they say that religious people just seem angrier. I don't know why. They just seem so upset and angry all the time, and anything can just flick them off. And I agree with you. A lot of them do have that tendency. And the reason why this is that we have to understand that when Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says that Shaitan's only focus is on our Shia, is that he will pull every trick in the book to make you hate the Sirat al-Mustaqim, as he mentions in the Quran, the straight path. I will sit on a straight path and I will misguide them. How will I misguide them? I'm going to send a lot of difficulties to them. I'm going to make them look, hey, I hate this. The last time I came to mosque, this Shia guy named Ali really bothered me. It's gotten to a point nowadays with the youth that all it takes in all it takes is a guy with a beard to cut them off while they're driving, and that's it. I lose faith in my religion. So people are nowadays just looking for an excuse to lose faith in their religion. But when you truly try to embrace it, now the test really comes. And we mentioned yesterday that when you want to embrace it and you really want to love the Imam, then you will realize one thing, that the Prophet says that the one that loves us truly is the one that loves us more than their own offspring. And when you love something more than your own offspring, you begin to realize that when the prophet is saying this, is that the one that is willing to make sacrifices to be part of our part of the part of the belief system that we've established. For who can say that a sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is no more noble, it has anything more noble than that? One of Imam Ali's defining factors. So when you start channeling your love towards Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, one of Imam Ali's most beautiful moments that are mentioned in the Blessed Quran, which I'll be talking about in coming nights, would be in Surah Baqarah, verse 207, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of the event Laylat al-Nabit. Mabit. And this is where Imam Ali alayhi salam offers himself to sleep in the Prophet's place when the Prophet makes his migration from Mecca to Medina. And during this time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of this by saying, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِ لِنَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ رَعُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. Allah says, and from the men there is the one, from mankind there is the one that sacrifices his soul to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, Allah is loving to his servant. So this verse was revealed specifically about this moment where Imam Ali alayhi salam lays in the Prophet's place while 10 different assassins from 10 different tribes approach to come and kill him for the sake of the Holy Prophet. And this highlights that if you truly want to love the Holy Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, you have to ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice to be able to continue on this path? Because this path is not an easy path. This path is not an easy path, brothers and sisters, because there are many tests that lie. There are many different people there are many different forces that will be against you to try and not only not only misguide you like a satanic force, to try and misguide you in the wrong direction or make you disenchanted and just completely drop the religion of Ahlul Bayt. But there is a challenging factor that comes with it, in the sense that to you don't get to greatness by going through easy paths, brothers and sisters. This is a lifelong thing. The one who studies to go to medical school and become a doctor does not have the same outcome of the one that slacked off in school, never showed up to class, and had no care. You see what I'm saying? So this is a merit that you can undergo this transformation and truly become a lover of the school of Ahlul Bayt. So this initiation that happens in the process now is a initiation that you'll go through, where the things that you have loved the most in life are now starting to taunt you. And one of the things that I've noticed before I wrap up is a lot of times the youth especially really lose their mind when this happens, is whenever they get their heart broken. This feeling of heartbreak, because look, at the end of the day, we mentioned that love is the most incredible currency you can give. And with the teenagers and the early 20s, what happens is that they're looking to invest because they have so much of it, and they're looking to invest in companionship, they're looking to invest in someone that they love. And what happens there is, because they didn't channel it towards a higher cause, and they didn't even know that was possible because conversations such as these never happened, uh, they fall into the trap of investing into an ordinary human being, and then they become codependent on this human being. thinking that this companion they've now attained is going to be their source of happiness, and that nothing is more fulfilling than to get the validation of that companion. And then what happens if it doesn't go as planned? Things fall apart. You experience a feeling of betrayal, um, and all of a sudden, they say, love is blind. All of a sudden, the haze wears off, and you start seeing the relationship you had for what it was. You go through this period of heartbreak, and psychologists have talked about this heartbreak as one that was equivalent to suffering the death of someone. However, it's almost even worse than that, they've said, because when you lose someone and someone dies, brothers and sisters, what happens is that in your head that you can never get them. You've buried them, and that's it. You've gotten that closure. But when you get your heart broken by someone that is still living, then you know that they're there, but you just can't have them. And what happens is, this is what happens when you put all your love towards all these different things. And these events will happen more and more the more you try to shift your love towards the Ahlul Bayt, because they're trying to tell you, brothers and sisters, that you will never get your heart broken with them. The path will be very hard, I promise you, but you will never have your heart broken by Imam Ali alayhi salam. You will never have your heart broken by Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman Ajal Allahu Ta'ala Faraja. And perhaps I can attest to myself that I've spent many years of my youth being a preacher, a lecturer for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. And I'd say in 2018, I was confronted with this moment where someone had made a mockery of me. And they used Imam Hussein to say, this is why you are where you are in life, that rather than focusing on your life's goals, you spent too much time trying to be active religiously. And someone said that, and the person was very dear to me, the person who said that. And I went back and I had a moment. And this moment was that I imagined Imam Hussein on that final night in Karbala right before Ashura, the night before Ashura. And as you know, the Imam Hussein, when he first started on his journey towards Kufa, he had thousands of people. He had 1,000 people. And the more they would draw on to the land of Karbala, the more Imam Hussein would go on to announce, by Allah, we're headed towards our death and we will achieve martyrdom. So stay with me. And you would see the more people would leave Imam Hussein alayhi salam, until that final night where there's about some odd 100 people left from that 1,000. So only 1/10 of the people had enough love. So they loved Imam Hussein to come with him, but they didn't love Imam Hussein to come all the way to the afternoon of Ashura. So now from 1,000, there's 100 people left. And they're sitting around this campfire, and it's very dark. And Imam Hussein is saying, he sits there, the first thing Imam says is, thank you for being with me. See, Imam is thanking you for all the hardship you've got. He says, but tomorrow I am certain that we will achieve our deaths. We will be killed and no mercy will be shown to us. So first and foremost, I just wanted to thank you for the 100 people that stayed. And I know that this might be hard on you tomorrow because of what they're going to do to us and what they're going to do with our family. So what I want to do is I want to turn the flame off so nobody can be seen. And those of you who are uncomfortable to stay, you can go. It's all right. Thank you for staying this long. I know it's been difficult. Listen to what the Imam is saying. Thank you for staying this long. I know my path of love has been difficult on you. I know you have good intentions, and I fear that some of you are just here because you are ashamed to leave. So here, I will dim the flame, and those of you who sincerely don't want to be here, you can go ahead. But promise me one thing, that when you go, I will tell you the fastest way out, and walk fast. For if you hear the crying and wailing of my women and children and do not return, then I fear the mercy Allah will show you on the day of judgment. So please walk very fast. And in this moment where this person was telling me, your life decisions have led you here, that you've spent too much time for Imam Hussein, all of a sudden, I had a moment where I thought that I was in a campfire with Imam al-Mahdi, Ajrallahu ta'ala faraja. And it's just me and him sitting there. And he looks at me and he says, Hadi, I know. It's been very hard on you. I know. I'm sorry that my path has made you this sad. I'm sorry you've had many tests. And it's okay. And it's as though when I'm imagining this, Imam Zaman is putting his hand on his shoulder and he's dismissing me. He's saying, it's okay, you can go. You don't have to stay with me. I know that there are many things you desire in this world. I know there are many things out there that you want to invest your love in. I know that the dunya is very infatuating. I know that living the life of loving me and trying to stay on the straight path is such a difficult one and it bothers you sometimes. So Hadi, thank you for living this life that you have and loving me so much and trying to spread this message and trying to awaken people's hearts. Thank you. But it's okay now. You can go. I know it's been difficult time. And as I think of that moment, I began to break down and I began to wail and cry. I say, Imam, bring more. I want more hardship. Bring me more calamity. Just don't ask me to leave you. For today, I might be sitting here with the honor of having these two names behind me, but tomorrow, brothers and sisters, I don't know if I'll be swayed by this evil world, by this transient world. So I make dua, Imam, let anything you want happen to me. Let me lose my job. Let me lose my family. Let me lose anything. Let me lose my limbs. But don't let me lose you. For without the door of Ahlul Bayt, brothers and sisters, which door do we have? Without the door of Imam Hussein, who tells Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi when he comes in shame, he says, I'm sorry, Imam. Imam says, Hur, lift your head, for you're coming on my side now. Brothers and sisters, don't be fooled by this world. Don't be fooled by giving your love to anything other than that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed us to. إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this evening that we are now 2 days past the martyrdom of his beloved Wali, Imam Ali alayhi salam. We ask on this evening that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further instills our love for the Imam of our time. And may he grant the families patience. Brothers and sisters, this journey for us to sit here in peace today came with a lot of bloodshed. A lot of Shias lost their lives trying to write down these messages for us to come talk about today. And we see even recently in Afghanistan, these wonderful women in this maternity ward lost their lives simply for having the love of Ahlul Bayt. Let us not take it for granted, brothers and sisters, and let us not shortchange our souls for anything less than the mawadda and the muhabba of Ahlul Bayt. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahirin walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.